Captain Polk thought they could use those violations to help the Grapevine police, who didn't have enough to make an arrest yet.
So I told the detective, we can get a warrant signed on some evidence we just got and at least, get him off the street.
You go by Charles, you go by Dean?
Charles, okay. Charles Bryant was arrested on September 18th for violating Caitlin's restraining order. Grapevine detectives were hoping they'd soon find more evidence connecting him to Jackie's death.
He's brought to the Grapevine Police Department for an interview, and right away he's beginning to distance himself from having almost any interaction with Jackie.
You recognize who she is? He's her at a bar.
And at the same time, we begin serving a search warrant for his residence.
What can you tell me about her? Is that it, I guess?
It had been 4 days since Jackie's body was found. Plenty of time to dispose of any possible evidence. But Captain Luna at Grapevine PD says they found a lot at Bryant's home, including a large military-style knife.
You know what? Purse was found in there too.
Bryant had no way to answer for any of it, including 2 more items police found while he was in custody. Video of him buying a shovel the night Jackie disappeared, and a kiddie pool missing from his backyard that matched the one Jackie's body was found in.
We have video of you with this girl. You're at the bar. You're walking around Walmart at 4 o'clock in the morning buying a shovel. She's found dead in a pool that came from your backyard.
He even got to the point at the end of his interview with our detective where he said, well, I must have done it. I don't remember doing anything.
Everything points to me. It's like I had to have done it.
An open and shut case? Not even close. Although there was overwhelming evidence that Bryant had disposed of Jackie's body, there was no evidence yet that confirmed how Jackie had died, or that Bryant had killed her.
And that's when they reached out to me and asked if I could come in and spend some time with him and interview him and see what I could get.
Because you have an expertise in dealing with this kind of personality.
Right, this is kind of my calling.
Jim Holland is the senior member of an elite team of Texas Rangers, a select division of the Texas State Police. He specializes in interviewing some of the country's most prolific killers and analyzing their thoughts.
Hey, how you doing?
And Charles Bryant seemed to fit the bill. Jackie's body had been dismembered before being set on fire. How do you begin to understand a mind that would do that?
A lot of these people actually want to tell you. They want to tell someone.
At first, Bryant kept to his claim that he didn't remember a thing.
Yeah, it's crazy because I really don't remember doing this girl.
The idea that he doesn't remember doing it, no, it's absolute nonsense.
So you knew Charles Bryant remembered exactly what had happened.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And your job was just to pull that out of him.
Right.
You're not a violent dude. You haven't really been in trouble.
Holland says his strategy was to try to make friends with Bryant and get him talking.
You obviously work out and you're stud, right?
You don't want him to look at you as a law enforcement officer. You want him to think of you as a friend, a compadre, a drinking buddy. You kind of go back to what 2 boys would talk about in the high school locker room, about the girl they kissed on Friday night.
You don't have any issues with girls.
And Holland suggested possible scenarios to see if Bryant would take it from there.
Okay, so something happens. Bam, there's a snap. And we need to figure out what that is. And maybe, she got mad. Maybe she's giving you all the signals and then cut you off. I mean, there could be all kinds of different things going on here, right? I mean, chicks, right? You know chicks?
As we're going through the interview, I'm watching him. I'm, I guess in a way, a human lie detector. I'm reading him and I'm throwing things at him in which I know the answer. And I'm looking for his responses, whether they're false or true.
Under the pretense of helping Bryant remember what happened, Holland suggested they do a memory exercise.
What we're going to do is these mind exercises, which means we're going to move back in time.
Bryant, who first claimed he didn't know who Jackie was, then seemed to remember her. He said he could see her coming into the bar.
I think she's looking for a job. That's what we're...
And offering her a ride.
It makes sense that anyone probably would offer to ride home. There's tons of things in this that I can tell you, right?
Over a pizza, as Holland tried to steer Bryant to confess, probed about a possible motive.
But what does everyone want to know? And yeah, why? Who's the only one who can tell us that?
Holland eventually cut to the chase and asked if what happened with Jackie was really all about Caitlin.
Were there times that you pictured her as this girlfriend that did you wrong, or did anything like that come up?
The level of nonsense that came out of his mouth at different points about that was just astonishing.
Do you think Charles Bryant looks around the bar and sees Jacqueline Vandegrift? Ah, she looks like Caitlin.
It wouldn't surprise me if he actually mistook her at first. You know, saw her from behind, thought, man, you know, my ex is here. I think in his mind that whole night, I think that's what he pictured.
After the murder, right after the murder, he took Jackie's phone and used it to add me on Facebook.
When Texas Ranger Jim Holland was brought in to interrogate Charles Bryant, the nature of the crime made him wonder if Bryant's brain was wired like the serial killers he'd encountered. In what way is the mind of a serial killer different from a common criminal?
You know, generally people like that tend to be sociopathic or psychopathic mindsets, and it's just a different game. Psychopath would be someone who's basically born with a scar on their brain. And a sociopathic mindset is something that society has brought on. Something happened to them that changed their psyche.
Something maybe had happened in his childhood.
Christy Dixon got a glimpse of Charles Bryant's psyche firsthand. She met him on a dating app the year before Jackie Vandegrift's death.
He seemed pretty quiet and reserved, almost like he was shy. By the second or third time that we were hanging out, I noticed he was getting pretty attached pretty quickly, and I just was not there. It was very casual to me.
After she broke things off, he continued to pursue her. Bryant even told her that he loved her. Christy says they'd never even shared a kiss.
It was a little too much too soon, too fast. I work with abused children, and that to me kind of stuck out.
Christy says that's when she asked Bryant about his childhood. He told her he had been molested, a claim that 48 Hours could not independently verify.
I remember thinking, that makes sense. I'm not a psychologist or anything, but his behavior sort of came off to me as maybe an abused child or someone who is just needing that extra love that most people probably aren't seeking.
Still, Christy thought he was harmless and stayed in touch.
I thought he was just a really nice guy and felt sorry for him.
I'm not an angry guy, I'm not aggressive.
As Ranger Holland continued his interrogation, he wanted to see if Bryant would answer the key question: how did Jackie Vandegrift die? Her autopsy didn't provide many answers.
There's a lot we didn't know. We didn't know where it occurred. We didn't know exactly how it broke down. And so that's what my goal was.
Holland wondered if the crime had a sexual element, but initially, Bryant denied anything sexual took place.
I don't recall having sex.
You don't?
No, normally I recall having sex.
After 3 more hours of interrogation, Bryant said they did have sex. Kinky sex. According to Bryant, Jackie wanted to be choked with an oversized zip tie that just happened to be in his car.
She didn't fight you in any way when you were putting it on?
The consensual sex aspect of it was one of those things that no, I felt strongly that he was lying about.
And Bryant also claimed that neither he nor Jackie had tightened the zip tie intentionally.
Okay. So you think he just tightened up on its own, basically?
Not so much that, like, it had to snag on something or...
Okay. Then what happened?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, she's not responsive. Shake her. Yeah.
Holland led him through the memory exercise. Bryant went into gruesome detail about how he disposed of her body.
Okay, what do you see in the pool?
Yeah, garbage bags.
All right, now tell me exactly what you see occurring after that.
I go down that trail.